everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of You Guys Know, this chick right here. And I'm also the author of these little ebooks right here, soon to be in print. And you guys, I'm going to be giving them away. So, subscribe. And I'm also, in the future, I've got some more plans for Patreon and stuff. But we'll talk about that another time. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for all the love, all the support, everything you guys do. Trust me, it is so beyond appreciated. And I suck at answering emails, but I will get back to everybody as soon as possible because you really do truly mean a lot to me. And your conversations truly mean a lot. So I will get back to you guys very, very soon. I'm in the process of going through a bunch right now, so thank you guys for reaching out to me. It truly means a lot that you trust me, that you feel this comfortable with me. Truly, I can never thank you enough. And today we are going to get a little wild. We are going back to I don't know what year, 89-ish, 88-ish. It's when Testament very first did their first tour, when they very first came out. They came out from the same scene that Metallica did in San Francisco. And they're still touring to this day. They are still going strong. Chuck still goes backstage with Metallica when they're around. And he's still with the same girl, which is awesome. I have total respect for that. But we are going to talk about the first night I met Testament. It involves me and Danny and Cammie. And my God, just when you think it's just can't get any worse, it does. So, okay, you guys, and I'm finishing up this Kona Spiked Seltzer Island. I should have looked at this, 0 calories. When I'm drinking, I want more sugar because there's more flavor. And sorry about my voice, you guys. I've been sick. It's just, I've been really hoarse, so trying to film and keep up with everything took a toll on my voice. So just deal with my Kim Carnes Betty Davis eyes. She's got Betty Davis eyes. Yeah, see, it can be sexy. Trust me, smoky. But all right, yeah, we're going to drink this Kona Island. Like I said, I'm finishing up. I'm going to be honest. I've already had a few sips of it. Okay, everybody grab your Konas, kick up your feet. Let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. I'm really on the fence if it's okay. Because it says it's tropical punch. And there's just no fucking tropical punch in here. No tropical punch, guys. So, it's a 50-50 shot, if this is going to, definitely going to drink that over Kip Winger any day. I mean, I'd swallow fucking mayonnaise warm before Kip Winger. So, definitely going to swallow this. But okay, so we are going to talk about the night that we met Testament, and let me tell you, it is a story. Because just when you think things, it keeps going. It keeps going. So, okay. So, Danny and I were still hanging out with Cammie. She was just getting more and more belligerent. This is after Eric Carr, when she tried to keep me away from him by trying to, shoulder tackle me. Talk about cock blocking. But so, we were still trying to be friends, and we were going to go down, and she was like, no, we'll take my car. We'll do this. Just meet me in my house. And because she's like, I'll be the designated driver so you guys can drink. Because we were, we would take turns. So she was being the designated driver. So did not end up that way. Jesus Christ. But we go down. We go to the Speedway Cafe. And we'll do an episode on the Speedway. Because you guys, this place was second only to CBGB's. And had so many amazing shows. I spent my 18th birthday there with Overkill, Danzig when they first came out, Gwar, Dream Theater, Fate's Warning. Oh God, who was Willy Whoops, Willy, God, what's his name? Piggy Blackie, Snake and Away, Voivod. But lots of really cool bands like that. And Testament, Dangerous Toys, Dirty Looks, so many really cool bands played there. They were so easy to get to. This is like the easiest place, if you were a groupie in training, this is where you wanted to go. But we were there, so it was kind of hard. So were the rock stars when we got there, too, though. They were. Anywho, So we get there and we get out of the car and we just are walking. What do? We park by the bus because there's nobody. It's probably around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We know sound check is going to be going on. We park by the bus. We get out of the car. Don't see much going on. We're like, what do you mean the bus door's not opening yet? What the fuck? We were used to that because that was just the way it was at the time. Was it that we had this phenomenal magic musy power? Because that's bullshit. When someone says, I wanted to be a muse, it was magical. I mean, yeah, I say it was magical living in grunge in the 80s and stuff, but I don't sugarcoat the bullshit. So we get out and we're like, where the fuck is everybody? Where is everyone? And Cammy was like, she's like, oh, I'm just not in. We were talking about which ones are cute. I thought Alex Golding was cute. I thought Chuck was hot. None of us were really picking anybody. And she's like, nah, nobody for me in the band. Didn't really care for them. And Cammy, and she even did this back in, what year was it? 2013 when we hung out with him because she needed a place to live. I hadn't talked to her in years. I kind of found friends, but we'll go into that later. At the end of the video, I'll tell you this 2013 story. So anyway, we had gone and we walk into the Speedway and there was the main front door right over here where you go up the stairs, you go into the vestibule, the 21 and over room, the t-shirt room with the Coke bar, soft drink bar, and then the venue. And this place was just like an old airplane hangar, just kind of small, shitty bathrooms that overflowed all the time. They won't come into play tonight. Killer fucking punk club. Killer bands always played there. Because they had the best groupies, because we knew the owners. We were part of the Speedway family. In fact, you guys kind of know some of the Speedway family if you've ever seen the movie SLC Punk, which I will do an episode on SLC Punk because really, truly, you guys, that movie is based on people I know and a crowd I hung around from the Speedway. It's based on the Speedway family. So anyway, we decide to go in. There's a door over to the right. Like if you're facing the building right here, the main entrance is over here. Then there's a door that kind of goes by the stage where everybody goes. There's two. One that goes to the backstage area and one that walks in right by the stage. So we walked in right by that damn tiny, and that stage was tiny. How Gwar ever fit on there, I don't know. So Danny and Cammy and I, we come cruising in, and the band's on stage. They're doing sound check, and we're like, hey. And there's Mark Workman, who is an amazing guy. He's no longer on the road. He's wrote a book himself, How to Be a Tour Manager. I'll put the link down in the description. He's a really amazing guy. He's one of the nicest, most chivalrous roadies I've ever met. And they were all very, very protective and very respectful of the groupies back then. So Mark Workman, I believe, was the first one to come over and talk to us, and him and Danny just hit it. They was like sparks flew. So she's just like, hey, they were just like all over. He likes blonde. She's a beautiful blonde. Hit it off like nothing. And I was still blonde at the time. Was I? Or had I gone black yet? I think I might have already gone. I don't know if I was blonde. Was I blonde? Anyway, so Danny and Mark hit it off. Then, the sound check is winding down. The boys start wandering over. Who are these ladies? We all start talking. We all start, hey, let's go out to the bus. Let's go drink. Cammy's not going to drink, so they pull out this tequila. And she just starts talking to Chuck, and Chuck is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And they're just having a conversation, but see, in Cammy's mind, she thinks that he's falling for her. Like, she hadn't been in any relationship before. She got married to the first guy she got pregnant, got married, basically. But she had never really had a relationship before. She told people that she was engaged to Eric Carr, but she never even kissed him. I was with him. And this is going to come into play this night because, like I said, there are some girls, you got to be careful when you're hanging out backstage with other groupies, because if there's even that tiniest bit of jealousy or hatred or snarky or insecurity that people bring out, and she was insecure, and it just kind of came out in a really shitty way, so we were all just hanging out, and Chuck was just talking to her, and I was sitting between Danny and Mark, or there was like Danny, Mark, me, and Alex on one, and her and Chuck, and we were all just passing around a joint, taking hits of tequila, cracking open beers, doing what we do before the show, hanging out, having a good time. It's rock and roll, the groupies. An expected part, especially in Salt Lake City. And they were talking about that, like we had heard the best groupies were in Salt Lake City. We were so excited to come here, and yeah, fuck yeah. But then Chuck, he kind of kept kicking my feet and kind of, I like your shoes, I like your shoes. You know, just kind of being, you know, flirty and funny with me. And we were kind of going back and forth. And he was like, you need to come over here. So I plopped over there, and that's when Cammie switched. Because she was, none of us, and she wasn't really even with him. She was talking to, you know, the drummer. What's his name? Chuck or something? I don't know. If I'm not sleeping with you, I don't have to remember your name. But so anyway, so she starts getting mad because Chuck and I are just talking and we're flirting and we're having a good time. I didn't think anything of it. So she starts grabbing the tequila and just, and we're like, oh, there goes our designated driver. And Danny and I knew what was coming because we had seen this mood in Cammie before. So we were just like, all right. Danny got the keys from her because we know when she starts chugging like that, it is not going to be a pretty alcohol night. You know? So we're just like, okay, let her have fun, whatever. And we just kept talking, we kept partying, and she was smiling, having a good time, laughing, but then she would turn to Danny and make some low-cut remark, and then she would turn to me and make some low-cut insult, you know, an insult disguised as a joke. She didn't do a very good disguising. So we just blew it off, okay? So anyway, we're all just drinking, and Chuck kind of noticed it and was like, So Danny got the keys because she knew where this was going. So we all go back inside. It's getting close. People are starting to form a line outside to come to the show, to get in. So we go into the venue. We walk back into the dressing room. Like I said, we're just hanging out, having a good time. Well, Cammie, she brings her little friend tequila with her, the whole damn bottle, and is still swigging. And we all know with tequila, either you're really friendly like me. I get too friendly. This is why I don't drink tequila. Too friendly. Like strangers doing body shots with strangers at the bar, kind of friendly. Spitting the lines across the bar. It's okay, the bartender caught him. So, but she was not the kind of girl that reacted with tequila very well. So we're all just trying to still keep an eye on her, make sure she's okay. You know, we can tell she's not going to go down a pretty road. So, you know, Danny and I we were actually trying to take care of her. But then all of a sudden, she just goes out the side door. She's like, I got to run to the car. I'll be back. Well, she didn't have the keys. So Danny and I just kind of look at each other. And she's just out there. She's already, because this is like an hour and a half, 2 hours in to her chugging. We were sitting on the bus for a couple hours. So this is not pretty. And where the speedway was is under the freeway viaducts and stuff. A lot of homeless people, you know, kind of a seedy area, but not too scary. You know, and we didn't want her out there after dark, wandering under, you know, the train tracks or anything like that. So about 20 minutes, we're like, where the fuck is Cammie? And this is going to be the theme for the night. So we go out there, and she's just like, nah, drunk on tequila, screaming and yelling, I don't want to talk to you guys. And she's just stumbling. And so Mark comes out, being the ever so very wonderful gentleman that he always was every time I saw him for 20 some odd years. He went out, he started talking to Cammie, got her calmed down, was like, hey, just come back inside. Everybody wants you here, because she was going on about, everybody just wants those two. Nobody ever wants. He's like, what are you talking about? Everybody likes you. Come back in. So he's trying to get her to come back in. And he finally gets her to get up off the curb, because they're sitting on this little curb. And there's a curb in front of the bus. It's like, there's no sidewalk. There's just this like curb barrier that separates the parking area from the street. So she gets up, she goes to walk back in with Mark. She doesn't lift her foot up and trips over the barrier. Just cuts her fucking chin up to bits. Like, we're talking gravel in it and shit. And he's like, holy fuck. So he brings her in. We're like, oh my God, Cammie, are you okay? I'm fine. We're like, no, you're not. They didn't have a first aid kit on the bus or at the speedway. God knows they didn't even have a plunger to keep the bathrooms from overflowing, you know? So, and I happened to have some surgical tape because I had cut my finger or something and had a band-aids on it. I had to have gauze and surgical tape. So I had surgical tape, and we were trying to figure out what we could use because there was no toilet paper. Couldn't use that. So we looked on the wall. What do we see? The maxi pad machine. The 5-cent man. We're like, oh, genius. And they were mini pads. They weren't these like big, huge things, you know, go ear to ear, you know, for the overnight ones. But so we put it, so I do it. I just said, we put this maxi pad, we tape it up, we get her cleaned out. You know, we're taking care of her. Keep that in mind. We're not being bitches. You just get fed up after a certain point because it keeps going. This is just the first incident of the night. Well, after the swinging of the tequila. So we get her taped up because we got to clean her out. We get her, you know, so we're washing her chin in the sink with the little bit of soap that's left in the fucking dispenser. And we're getting her cleaned up. We're getting her kind of as dried off as we can with no toilet paper. You know, we're using her shirt. And she says, don't look at that tequila. It was her best friend. So, and she's just like, you guys, we're like, we're cleaning your ass up. We love you, Cammie. Don't worry about it. So, you know, but that's all we had. So nobody give me shit for taping a pad, you know, a little pad to her chin because in a pinch we had to compromise for a Band-Aid because she needed one. She was a bleeding. And she walked around with that thing all day. So we go backstage. We all go backstage. We go back. We're sitting with them. They're like, are you okay? And everybody stopped. We're like, what the fuck is that on her chin? We're like, in a pinch, man. In a pinch. Leave it alone. Don't make fun of her. So then, you know, they're like, all right, time to go on stage. They're going on stage. Cammie kind of stayed back in the dressing room, was kind of trying to sleep it off a little bit, you know, because she was really drunk at this point. She just hammered down, you know, because this is about 3 or 4 hours in now by the time they went on stage. So she's kind of sleeping. We're going out there. We're like, yeah, hail to the end, you know, singing, dancing, mosh pitting, because ladies mosh pit with your mini skirt and heels. Those heels are weapons. And anybody in that mosh pit that sees a girl with heels and a mini skirt, don't fuck with her. You think she's weak? You think she's a namby-pamby? Wait till you feel those heels. So, you know, we're having fun. And we decided, well, let's go to the hotel afterwards. You know, the few guys that were on the road crew and everybody was going to stay afterward. There was David Pig and Mark and God rest David Pig's soul. And a few others, you know, so they all wanted to ride because the bus was staying back until the bus driver was still asleep at the hotel. And they were staying the night. And we just happened to, for some reason, we got a hotel at the same hotel that they happened to be at without knowing it because we didn't want to drive home. We kind of wanted to stay downtown. So Danny and I just sort of booked a room. You know, we could cancel it at last minute if we wanted to, but we were like, nah, fuck it, let's just keep it. And we did this sometimes when we were down at the Speedway. So we all go up to this room. We get it. Well, we leave the Speedway. We pile in Cammie's little Toyota truck. It's a white Toyota truck, and she's too drunk to drive. So Danny's like, "No, I'm driving." You know, Danny was the most sober, and I'm like, "Cool." So we're all starting to pile in. A bunch of the guys jump in the back. You know, the rest of the band, Alex and Greg and what's their butts, because Greg was really into Cammie, but she was just too drunk to see it. And Greg was a sweetheart and a cutie pie. He was just such a little like shy boy, not Chuck though. So we jump in and Chuck jumps in, he pulls me, sits me on his lap. There's another guy from the crew, I think it was Mark, and Danny is driving. So there's 4 of us squished in the cab, the rest of the band and everybody with Cammie in the back. And keep in mind, Cammie is conservative. She has never lifted, I've never even seen her boobs naked. And we're friends. We've gotten ready in the same room. You know, she showered in my house. And not that, you know, she should be showing, but, you know, as girls and shit in the locker room, or we're getting ready at each other's house, we're trying on clothes with each other, you see things. But so, I'd never seen her boobs. She was not the kind of girl, because she had big, like, E cups. We're not talking double D. We're talking E or F. She since had a reduction, but they were huge. Huge motherfuckers. And she's just in black jeans, you know, those 80s pin black jeans that we had to pull Gen X, you know what I'm talking about. We didn't have stretchy jeans, but we pinned our jeans and made them ankle tight, and Megadeth Metallica jean things, you know. So she's just in that, a t-shirt and this like black leather jacket, just Cas, some Converse. That was Cammy, you know. She didn't dress up that often back then. She was more the tomboy, which is fine. That suited her. She looked good that way. And she was comfortable, and that's the most important thing. But, so, we're driving. We're just getting ready to pull out of the street where the Speedway was, and their hotel is literally like 3 or 4 blocks from the Speedway. So, we're getting ready to pull out from the street, take a left, because we have to go around the block, when all of a sudden I see Danny look in the rearview mirror and go, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And I turn around, and there's Cammy, shirt over her head. And it was shocking because this is something we had never seen from her before. It was like, what the fuck? Whose horse is that? What the fuck? This is not the Cammy we know. And I'm not saying she's a horse. It's just the thing on TikTok. But anyway, so it really, really shocked us. And then, so we were like, holy fuck. And the guys were like, no, pull down the shirt. Pull down the shirt. They're cool to look at and all, but pull down the shirt. You're a little drunk. You might regret this in the morning. They were cool guys. So we get to the hotel. We all pile out into Danny and I's room. We were going to hang out. You know, we're all smoking, drinking, having a good time. Chuck and I are flirting. Their hotel's across the street. We're all kind of going back and forth. They were running to get more booze off the bus that had now showed up at their hotel. Just the normal night. Went about 2 hours, and Cammy, she was just drunk, so we just set her in a chair next to the table that's in every hotel room, right? So we just seat her there, and she's kind of nodding off, so we're like, okay, she's fallen asleep, she's going to be fine. Continue on the night, right? About 2 hours into our little powwow, Alex, the guitar player, is like, hey, where'd your friend go? What do you mean, where'd our friend go? Where is Cammy? What the fuck? Where is she? So we kind of look around the hotel room, look at the bathroom, look at the closet, look under the bed, look at the suitcase. No sign of Cammy in that hotel room. So, oh, no, but what I forgot to tell you guys, oh my God, this is a very vital part. So when we pull up to the hotel, everybody's jumping out of the back, including Cammy. And she's sitting up on the edge of the bed of the truck. And she was just going to kick her legs over instead of jumping out the open tailgate, right? So she's just gonna say, that's easy. We've all done it. It's a little Toyota truck, not far off the ground, you know. So she goes to swing her legs over, totally misses, falls backwards, all the way backward, just falls backwards, straight back. Her legs are falls onto the pavement, flat on her back, legs still kind of up against the truck. And we're like, oh my God, Cammy, are you okay? So we pick her up, I'm fine. So we pick her up, get her in the room, set her in the chair. When we pick her up, we see that her pants are ripped in an L shape. They got caught on the hubcap of the truck. She's wearing a big pair of cotton Mickey Mouse boxer shorts as her underwear. Ladies, this is why I always say, wear sexy knickers. Because something like this might happen and people might see your underwear. And we all have our granny panty days. Don't get me wrong. We all have laundry days, that time of the month, whatever. But there was some laughter. I'm not going to lie. There was some laughter when we saw those Mickey Mouse underwears. We were like, what the? And like I said, we get upstairs. We're fine. Hanging out. Just disappears. She just disappears. Have no idea where Cammy went. We're like, where the fuck did she go? So we decided we're at the Holiday Inn. I've talked about the Holiday Inn before. They've got some rooms that are on the outside. And then this is the old fun center where they have the rooms on the inside that are around this fun center where there's a putt-putt golf. There's a spa center with like steam room and sauna, there's a swimming pool, stuff like that, and all these rooms are. So we go in there. We're looking around that area, see if she fell in the pool. Ask the front desk person, did you see girl wander in? No, didn't see her. We're looking around the hotel. We are going crazy because she does not need to be out this time of night downtown Salt Lake City with Lord knows what kind of homeless people. I keep drinking this. This is shit. Still not good. Okay, this is running close to Kip Winger. So we go out, we're looking for her. So we're like, fuck it, we're gonna have to go drive to see if she's wandered off, because the freeway's right there. We don't want her wandering off onto the freeway. So we go back upstairs, grab the keys from the hotel room. Bunch of the guys go falling into the back. Me and Chuck and Danny. Chuck's gonna drive because he's the most sober of us now, which isn't saying much. So Chuck gets in. I go to get into the passenger side, and I sit down, and because I don't even look, I sit down, and I'm like, what the fuck? I feel something beneath me. It's her head. It was Cammie's head. She had wandered into her truck and fallen asleep there. So we locked the doors because we tried to get her out to get her back up in the room, so we could at least deposit her into the room, because we were going to go over to Chuck's hotel. Danny was going to go with, Mark, and I was going to go with Chuck. So just right across the street from the Holiday Inn where we were at. She would not come out of that truck. She would not come out of that truck. So, yeah, we just left her there. I know that sounds cold, but when you can't get somebody there, what are you going to do? Make sure she's the safest as possible. And we checked on her every so often. We checked on her. We kept going back every, so often to see if she wanted to go upstairs. But no, she was just passed out. So yeah, Chuck and I used the room that Danny and I booked, and everybody else was over at their hotel. And like I said, the truck was right there. We'd poke our heads out every time we woke up to have sex. You guys, he was so good. Oh, Chuck was awesome. Like, I could not walk afterwards, because he's a big, tall, 6'3", just sturdy, man, and I wrapped my legs around that boy. The next morning, I tried to get up out of that bed, and my knees collapsed. He was that good because he was just holding on to me, and I was wrapped right around him. Oh, yeah, we had a good time. We had a good time. And then many, many years later, like I said, in 2013, here's the pass from the last time they played the Depot. And Cammie, as we all know, her ex-husband got in touch with me one time to say, was she ever engaged to Eric Carr? I was like, no. She never even kissed him. He wouldn't even know her name, really. But, so, we had got back in touch. I was like, gosh, she probably changed, We had some good times. So she needed a place to live because she was being kicked out of her apartment where she was living. She was living with some friends, and she was being kicked out. She's divorced. Her kids are grown. And I had an extra room in this place I was living. I was living the main floor of this Victorian mansion. And I had 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a lot of other room. But so I was like, well, I have the spare room if you want to come hang out. So we went to go hang out with Testament. And we run into Gene Hoagland, who we knew from Dark Angel. And we're like, oh, cool. He came back. He showered. We took him back to the gig. We get on the bus, and there's Chuck. And he's like, hey. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, holy shit. And there's Mark Workman, and we're all hanging out. We're all catching up and reminiscing. And he looked at Cammie and was like, hey, nice to meet you. Because, he didn't. I was like, oh, if you only knew who that was. Remember that night we met? But so she goes, I get up to go to the bathroom because Chuck and I are sitting on the couch together. He's rolling joints. We're getting ready to smoke, because we're all 420 advocate friendly and just total potheads, honestly. So we're getting ready. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, come back, and there's Cammie sitting next to Chuck. And she's just all leaning on him and hanging out and trying to be all flirty-gurty. And, I was just like, oh, good God. Good God. And he's just kind of he's all, hey, could you move so she can sit back over here? And it was kind of the same thing that night. She got a little pissy and tried to leave me. I was like, fine, go ahead, leave. I don't care. But then Mark was like, you're being a dick to her. And she was just like, eh. And ended up staying. But yeah, she tried to pull the same thing 30 years, 20 years later. So there's the first night we met Testament. I can't even remember the first time Chuck kissed me. It must have been, I think it was actually when we were looking for her, and I was looking inside the sauna. I opened up the door, and I think he was with me, because we were all paired off in teams looking. So I think that's when he first kissed me, because like I said, I saw Chuck several times over the years. Here's a picture of him trying to drag me on tour one time. I know it's just our hands, but he's like, come on. I'm like, no, I gotta go. I gotta work. Had some photo shoots and stuff to do because I was dancing at the time. So yeah, but that was Chuck. I mean, Chuck was, I really, really enjoyed it. Always one of the most respectful bands, one of the kindest people, one of the coolest, always so inclusive, doesn't judge anybody. Of course I wanted to hang out with him more. I mean, I remember the first, and yeah, like I said, it was fucking blast with Chuck every single time. Like, I felt comfortable, safe, we laughed our asses off, that kind of good time. Even though the night wasn't that much of a good time for Cammie, the rest of us had a good time that night. So there you guys go. There's the night that I met Chuck and Billy from Testament, still touring, still going strong. You guys go check them out. They're really awesome. And if you want to meet them, really easy. Just go by the tour bus. They will sign autographs. They are the coolest guys. We all know Alex Skolnick from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, that he did that as well. So some really talented musicians in that band as well. All right, guys. So there you guys go. Hope you enjoyed the story. Hope you guys are still enjoying the channel. Thank you as always for making it to the end with me. If you're just lurking, if you're not subscribed, go down in that description and fiddle about. Hit the share, hit the like, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.